Happy Thursday, everyone. I am here today to unbox commissioned art that I got from Travis R Vick Comics Limited, which I won from the hashtag comic book shoutout that Big B McFly is doing. I'm the fourth one who won, so I won a commissioned art piece from Travis Vick. Send it to me. I'm going to be unboxing it today. But before that, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Comics Curing Cancer, which is starting tomorrow over at Legion of Comics channel, where he'll be doing auctions, giveaways. He'll be joined by great people throughout this community, so definitely check that out. I will be dropping every YouTube video in my community page that is going up, that'll be going live, because there's a ton of people going live Friday, Saturday, and then ending Sunday with Rob's Fat Stacks. There is still time to donate if you guys want to donate some special guests happening, some auctions, original art, CGC, CBCS, slabs, signed books, giveaways, prize wheel. I have all of the links to Comics Curing Cancer down below, so definitely check that out. Also, I just want to shout out Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart. The link to her GoFundMe is down below. As most of you guys know, she recently was diagnosed with cancer. So if you guys could take some time, share it out, or donate, any little bit helps. But even if you guys could just share it out, because sharing it gets some eyes on it, and maybe some more people would donate. And it costs you nothing to share it out. So I just want to say hello to a few people that have jumped in the chat, and then I'm going to bring out my guest, because I did bring somebody along with me to have some fun today. So today we got Phil's Treehouse in the building. What is up, Phil? Uncle Phil is in the building. He's beat out. Lascrucious. He beat you out, man. He beat you out. Hello from New Mexico. We got Phil saying hooray, and then we got K-pop junkie in here. What is up, K-pop? And then Kenneth Birdman himself. What is up, Birdman? I know there's a lot of people live right now. I know Scotty Vaughn, SVaughn82, is talking You Collect What over on his channel. He has Dr. Von Hoot and Toy Gaines over there. Of course, his co-host Frank is over there. And then in half an hour, Gary B is going live for the 10-1-1 with Digger Jim. But we are here today because I'm going to be unboxing this. Before we get into that, I do have the person that did the art for me and sent it to me here, and we're going to get to know him a little bit. So let's bring him out. Travis Vick, Comics Limited. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm doing really good. It's been I just got back from vacation with my kids. We went to Disneyland and had a blast, and experienced Star Wars like you've never experienced Star Wars. And that was awesome. I've actually got 2 more pieces of art that I'm working on already. So I have one for 22 Comics and one for Colossus Collector that I'll be doing. That'll from the Big B shout out. And yeah, you guys definitely dig into the Comics Curing Cancer, as well as helping out Jen. Follow those links, share those links. If you want to donate, great. That's awesome. And, just, go for all that, because it's really important to help the community. I met Jen at Rose City Comic Con, and she's super nice. She talked like for an hour to my girls, and that was pretty awesome. So I really cannot stress how much more it really is to help people out when they're in need, and share the love. As for everything else, I'm doing I've got tons of things going on, but and a couple of things coming out at the beginning of the year where it's going to be doing some more art for a couple other people, and maybe even some whatnot exclusives from what I've been asked about. So
that's awesome. What is up, Trev, my American dad? You were stating backstage, and I have to agree with you that we don't know each other that well. Like, we haven't crossed paths with each other. This is the first time that we're sharing a stream together, and I do appreciate you jumping on and sending me this art piece. So I want to know, like, a little bit more about you, how you got into art, and how long you've been an artist.
Okay, well, so I got into art when I was probably about 9 or 10, and I kind of came off of seeing like you remember how Marvel used to have the little heads of the characters in their label, the label. It was actually that inspired me to start drawing. I used to try to copy those on and just use them as reference and try to draw them out. And so I was creating my own characters and drawing my own stuff for with that. Um, and then as I progressed, I mean, it was I was by myself. I didn't really have anybody else to share that with. And then I met Bigby in high school. Well, junior high. We've been friends since junior high, and he and I used to do art together all the time. We had another friend as well that we did art with, and so all the way through junior high and in high school, we kind of helped each other out. We'd draw things, and the other people the other person would finish them. And so I just kind of kept going. And then I was actually going to art school. I was like doing art. I've done several different things. Like I had an art ministry where I actually was at a church and I would do art during service with people and things like that. And from there I was about ready to go to art school, a second time to art school, and life just took a turn, and I stopped for a long time. And so it was just kind of sketching around. And then I'd say about a year ago, Big B and I were hanging out, and he's like, we should do art together sometime. And I'm like, why don't we just do it now? And so we pulled out some paper and we just started sketching. And the first thing I did was a piece that I drew, not Rising Sun, but I drew one of the newer characters. I can't think of his name. Radiant Black. And that Radiant Black was so good. It was inspiring. It's now for me, it was because I hadn't really drawn anything like that in a long time. And so that kind of spawned into a couple more pieces that we kept doing together. And then we were like, and he started doing a YouTube channel. He's like, hey, you should do a YouTube channel. And so we were going back and forth, and I was like, I don't know. And then so I started doing the showing the comics on shorts and stuff like that. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to do this comic book shout out. Can you do a couple pieces of art for me? And I was like, sure, I'll do a couple pieces of art. And I was thinking, and he's like, it'll just be sketches. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And so as we started doing this, I got my first piece. And I'm like, so how many pieces are we going to do? Oh, probably 5 or 6. And I was like, oh. And he's like, one a month. And I was like, oh. And then I didn't start doing the first piece. And I was like, I need to color this. I can't just do a sketch. I need to have something more. It'll be a color sketch. And he's like, that's an awful lot of work. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So that's how the first one happened. And then I redrew the first one because when I did the second one for Obito, I liked what I did. I experimented and it came out really well. So I was like, I'm going to redraw the first one. So I redrew the first one and ended up sending both of them off to Romuel. And then, by the way, all these people, they all great YouTube channels. You should all follow them all. If you don't follow them, you should follow them all. My Travis shout out for Big B shout out. Everybody who won something, you should follow them. They've got great channels. And so, and as that progressed, I got your piece and you gave me the biggest challenge because I'd never drawn either of the characters and I knew nothing about Animal Man. So I can't wait to see your reaction to seeing it. So, and art just kind of has always been a part of my life. I started after starting to do this. My girls have been doing art for a long time. I did a lot of painting for several years and a lot of just kind of stylistic, very abstract stuff. And so coming back to pencils and inks and all this stuff, I kind of went crazy and I bought a whole bunch of inks. So you got to be the experiment of actually using ink to draw with. So,
oh wow,
so, yeah.
So
I can't wait to see it.
I'm excited too. So a few more questions I want to get into before I unbox this, and I want to say hello to Sugar Skulls. What is up, Sugar Skulls? Hopefully you're doing awesome, having an awesome night as well. I wanna know like how you got into like comic books. Like, what was some of like the first characters that you got introduced to as a kid or even as a teenager?
So as a kid, my very first comic book was I think it was Iron Man 181, and it was my grandmother bought it for me. And I also got there was also an Invaders comic she bought too, and so those were kind of my first introduction to comics. And then and then my other grandmother saw that I liked comics and art, and she was a painter, and she thought, oh well, there's this new company in Portland called Dark Horse, and they put out these comic books. Let's go look at them. So she took me to a comic book store. Never been to a comic book store, and she goes, "What if you wanted to buy one of four of these books? I think it was Boris the Bear, Dark Horse Comics Present with Black Flag on it, Concrete, and Mecha." And she's like, which one would you want? And I was Mecha was the one that went, the comic book that went nowhere, but it was the one that sucked me in because it had that big robot thing, and that kind of tied back to me as a kid because I loved cartoons, and my favorite cartoon was Star Blazers. And the only time I ever got to watch it was we'd go east. This of course before cable. And they had the UHF channel in Walla Walla, Washington, played Star Blazers for 2 hours every morning as their kids program. So that was my introduction to kind of like the space anime art comic book stuff, and so it was just that storytelling was really prominent in my head. And so when I finally was buying my own comics, I was about, I would say, yeah, I was about 11. I would write up to there's this little corner market that's still there actually. The comic rack's not there anymore, and I would go to the spinner rack, and I picked up my very first comic I bought was X Factor 14. It's a cover you have where Master Mold has Cyclops gripped in his hand, and Cyclops is blasting Master Mold's hand with his optic blast, and the cover's Walter Simonson, and it's just this beautiful pink and orangish salmon colors just pouring off of everything, and that spoke to me, and and then their DP7 #1 was sitting right there next to it, so I bought both of those comic books, and those are the first two comic books I ever bought, and that kind of started the habit.
Started the habit and just continued since then. So you said Portland earlier. So you part of like the Port, like, is that how you met Jennifer? Was because of Portland? Have you met Bueller as well?
Yeah, I met Bueller as well. I met
Bullseye,
Bueller
Bob.
through Brian, actually, through Bigby, and so because they've been friends for years, and Brian, so he and I have known each other for years. I'm probably going to call him Brian. I won't say his last name, I promise. But we've known each other for so long, it's hard to call him Bigby. But he has introduced me to a lot of people, and so that's how I got to know everybody. Yeah, I've lived in this area, in the Portland, Vancouver area for about 40 years, about 45 years. Yeah. So a couple of years here and there outside of the area. So
What's up, Cali Comics? Another question I had for you is, what is your, it could be, I guess, what is your favorite superhero, or what is your favorite thing to draw?
Ooh, okay. Favorite superhero is probably Captain America, but my favorite character to draw, I would say, oh well, that's different because it's not. I can't. That's a hard question because I could say I really enjoy drawing like Superman, or I really enjoy the Hulk, or because there's the aggressiveness of the muscles and all those things. I'm my favorite character is going to be Captain America. In fact, I have a Captain America tattoo, the shield.
Okay.
So, but I guess if I were really saying it right now, my favorite character to draw uh, is going to be I'm probably going to go back to Iron Man because he's so intricate and not his uniform. Even though the older Iron Man wasn't very intricate and it was very body shaped, the ideas that Whilce Portacio added to Iron Man in the 90s when they did that when Image had the titles for a while there, or Jim Lee and Homage Studios had the titles there for a while. That Iron Man, I think, really kind of changed how Iron Man looks. I think that was that moment was where it really kind of culminated into something new and made it more technological and made it more almost realistic. Like he actually had to have the suit put on, and then we had when Ultimates came out, that was the same feel you got from that. They kept that idea going, and I felt like that actually made Iron Man way more palpable and way more enjoyable. And I love the intricacies of that. In fact, I had a character that had that his whole thing, which I didn't realize this, but his whole origin story is basically the Flash's origin story, and because chemicals and lightning and all this stuff, and then he bonded with metal and was able to manipulate electronics and metal and turn himself into build this robotic form around him. And so he was I was young when I created the name Dr. Bionicus. And so he was my favorite character to draw of the ones I had created. So out of and we used to do superhero games based off of the Marvel superheroes, and that was kind of our way to create ideas and come up with these interesting characters who had superpowers and who could do things. And a lot of times we had things that were amalgams of other characters that we'd seen, of course, right? Because that's how everybody's brain works. And so I mean, we had big guys, we had big robot guys, we had little guys with claws, we had hot telekinesis people, girls, women, stuff like that. All the stuff.
So how many characters would you say that you have created throughout the years?
I think I have about 45 characters that I've created.
Oh wow, that's not. I was thinking oh, I had 6 or 7. No, it's 45.
I have 5 go-to characters if I'm going to do something, but I have it's not just superhero. There's the other side of it, the Dungeons and Dragons or sword and sorcery aspect of it, or there's regular Joe characters who are part of the story, who are important to the stories that I have in my mind. I created a whole Divergent timeline based off of Kennedy, the Kennedy assassination, as it being a failed attempt on President Kennedy's life, but his wife died instead. And so how would that affect the world, and what would he do differently that might cause technology to change and security and all these type of things? And we were already in a space race. The next thing would be business race, technology race. We'd be going after computers. We'd have supercomputers way sooner. And so I built all this idea with this whole idea of the world being this different world. And then my story was set in space with a ragtag group of semi-space pirates who were miners who were mining the asteroid belt. So tons of and that had majority of the characters I created recently.
Have you ever thought of maybe writing out a script and then writing out a storyboard and then doing the illustration for it and doing uh not a why can't I think of the name right now? A Kickstarter for like maybe creating your own comic.
I toyed with the idea, but I've kind of I have to look at my life and my time, and I know my limitation. And it's not that I couldn't do it. It would just I wouldn't be ready for I probably wouldn't be ready for the Kickstarter for a couple years. So
Okay. Yeah,
I mean,
because I know a few people in this community that I've become friends with and that who have done Kickstarters, successful Kickstarters, like just to make comics and that. Like if you ever wanted to reach out to him, he could probably give you the down low of how to start your own Kickstarter and what you'd have to do.
that'd be cool. Definitely.
And I know this girl right here, K-pop, Katie. She talks to a lot of Kickstarters. She's friends with a lot of Kickstarters that are out there in that. So if you ever wanted to check out her channel and see all of the people she has on, I think it would be a really cool idea if you have. Not only do you have the art down, but you're actually thinking of stories for like the and that interesting stories that I know people would want to read.
Well, I think the key thing for doing interesting stories is always it's got to be a story that you're interested in, right? If you don't like what you're doing, no one else it won't matter if everybody else thinks it's the best thing in the world because you won't keep doing it, right? And so if it's something that you're interested in doing, it always makes the world a better place. It brings life to the what you're working on, and it brings a lot of it'll actually your personality, your desire, your dream will inspire others, and other people will find that in the work that you're doing, and find that in hopefully find that piece of it to help them inspire to do their own thing, and that would be ultimately the thing that I'd be excited about doing. Is I like to inspire other people. I try to.
That's fantastic. So now let's talk about your channel a little bit. And you said earlier that you got it started because Big B McFly showed up. Big B McFly. The link to Big B McFly Instagram and YouTube channel is down below, as well as Comics Limited. Travis here, his Instagram and YouTube is down below, so definitely go check that out. How did you decide to like? What was your plan to start your YouTube channel? What was your thoughts of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do on my channel, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Okay, well that was that. It's interesting. So what happened is I was sitting. I bought some comics, and they had come in, and I unboxed them, and I took didn't take video, but I took just took photos of it, and I sent those photos to Brian, to Bigby, and he's like, dude, that could be a video. Do you understand? That's how easy it would be for you to do a YouTube video. And I was like, okay. And then he started sending me video after video after video, other people doing unboxings and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And then I was thinking, I always have to gauge everything by time versus reward and ability, right? And so and and so I was like, okay, I could probably do that. And then I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I started watching how to do that, and I was like, I don't know if I get how other people are doing this with the video software. So then I went up and hung out with Big B, and we're talking, and I'm like, can you show me how you're using this software so I could do it right? And they showed me VN Editor, and then I realized because I have I have Adobe, that I was using for web design and stuff like that a few years back, I was still paying for it, that I had Adobe Premiere, and I had all their editing tools, even their little Rush. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't need VN Editor. I have Rush. So then I went and started figuring out how to use it. And then what really came out of it was I thought, okay, this is fun. I'll show what I buy, whatever I win, whatever I buy on Whatnot, whatever I get from the comic shop that's older books, all these different things. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, how do I make the channel, grow or do things like that? And so I was trying to do different things to help make the channel grow. And then I realized, I think I'm just going to do what I enjoy, which is show comics. And if something's really meaningful to me, I'll talk about it. And honestly, it's the channel's just about my comic adventure, I guess, in a way, in the sense of my collecting adventure. And sometimes it's about stuff I want to sell.
Yeah, exactly. Your channel is what you make of it, and that, like, I know a lot of people are like strict on like, oh, I can't do anything besides comic books because this is a comic book YouTube channel. I was like, no, it's do what you feel is right, because like even with me, like I sometimes I do reviews on TV shows or movies and that have nothing to do with comic books, and that's just what I want to do. Of course, I do have chatting with the comic community, and I have between the lines, but and those are very much comic book based. But if I like give you an example, Twisted Metal came out and nobody was talking about it. And I was like, oh, I want to talk about it. I want to give it highlight and stuff. So that's how I do it. My channel isn't based solely on comics. It's nerd fandom in general. So you make your channel the way that you'd want it. So
Yeah. Well, the hope is that over the next 6 months, Bigby and I are going to be doing a thing called Comics Talk. And it's actually spawned from another shout out to my father-in-law. He has a website called Comics Talk Blog. It's been around for about 12 years now, where he talks about, and primarily he talks about movies and content, you know, pop culture content, things like that. Mostly the Marvel movies or the DC movies or those type or the shows that are coming out. In fact, my 17-year-old daughter, she actually wrote an article on there too, for talking about Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I mean, uh, I think I'm with you, man. I love talking about all things. You could, if we got started on, we could go on down a road, a Star Wars road, and we'd be talking about that for hours. Because I love Star Wars. It's that was my very first nerd geek thing. I don't look it, but I was old enough to see the original movie in the theater. So I was 4, but I got to see it 6 times because family came from all over to come and watch it here. So it was awesome.
that's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, you definitely don't look it. So, what did you think of uh, the news about it getting a new trilogy done by Dave Filoni?
Well, I think that's fabulous because I love how Dave Filoni builds a story. He's slow and methodical in how he builds a story, and I don't think a lot of people get that because a lot of people want to have that, they want to have that quick ending, they want to have that cliffhanger, they want to have that piece, but he builds a story, and as he had, it's funny. We watched all of Clone Wars, the girls and I, um, just to have an experience of seeing it all together. And we kind of watched the show. We watched the movies, and then we watched Clone Wars, and then we watched the third movie, and then we watched the fourth movie, and kind of watched everything in order before the first of the sequel trilogy came out. But yeah, I think that would be awesome. Filoni, by far, is the closest. I would say the closest thing that there is to George Lucas. I mean, he really cares about how George Lucas would look at this world, how he would want to see it go, and what the important parts of it that could be bring new people in, as well as continue to invigorate the fan base. And I think it's important. I mean, Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 were mind blowing. season 3 was not bad. It was just different. It was something different. It was a different story, and it felt like, I mean, we could. The thing is that the pandemic kind of feels like it messed a lot of things up. There are a lot of people who probably were involved that weren't involved before, who are gone and or didn't were not a part of anything anymore, or decided they were moving on after that and weren't going to come back. I have a feeling that there's a lot of those type of choices that were being made. Um, and so, but I didn't hate it. I love Bo-Katan. I think that I love the Mandalorian storyline. Ahsoka, for me, Ahsoka was amazing. I felt like it was the start of something, though, right? It's like Clone Wars season 1 through 3 is Ahsoka, where it's where we got young Ahsoka who wasn't very good, but then becomes the most cherished character throughout the whole Star Wars universe. But then you get something like the Clone Force 99, the Bad Batch. Man, talk about a story that just starts off strong and continues all the way through where it was. It's just so yeah. I'm a big fan of Dave Filoni, so I'm excited for that. I hope the rumor is true and that we get a really solid, good story. And I think it's going to be a Thrawn story that's going to take place in this universe. And I think we're going to get more Luke Skywalker, actually, is what we're going to get. And I think that's going to be really cool.
It would be kind of stupid not to include Luke Skywalker. Get the guy that de-aged him in, what was it, Mandalorian, which it was really good. De-aging. No, it was the Book of Boba Fett that he showed up.
Yeah.
And they hired the guy that was just like, you know what, I can do a deep fake better than you guys, and then then they hired him. And he did a better one than the Mandalorian. And I also think that they should, because she's going to have to show up. She was mentioned in Ahsoka, but she's going to have to show up down the line is Leia. So they're going to have to recast her. My opinion on that is get Billy Lord in. Billy Lord, you keep it within the family. You put a deep fake over her face. She's an amazing actress. She's been in tons of things, Scream Queens. She's been in a bunch of seasons of American Horror Story. And then she was also played her mother in the last movie and had her own character as well. So I love Billy Lord. Billy Lord is a fantastic actress. And nobody, that's a way to like be like, okay, nobody's going to complain about this. Like, who's going to complain about her daughter playing her in the movie? So
exactly. I agree. So yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
So hit that 30-minute mark. I've been kind of unpacking this, so let's check out this. I'm excited. Right. I'm excited.
I can't wait.
Oh. Thank you so much, everybody who's watching this live or catching this on the rewind. I know there's a lot of shows tonight, so I appreciate you guys taking the time out, listening to Travis Comic Limited's story. Also, make sure to go follow him, subscribe to him, and go follow and subscribe to Big B McFly. Oh, shoot. I'm just seeing a little bit of it from throughout the bubble wrap, and I'm excited. So excited. Oh, my God. Wow. This is fantastic. Check that out. So if you guys know me, and I know a lot of people do, I've gotten Animal Man and Stargirl, two of my favorite characters. And this is just absolutely fantastic, man. Yes.
It was
so what did you use? What did you use to draw this?
Well, I started with some inks, and then basically kind of experimented more and more. I masked it up but I wanted to keep some of the stuff that was coming out, so I cut off little pieces here and there, so stuff that was coming off the page could go off the page. And then I just kind of went with I used some ink, and then I used Posca pens, paint pens, and then to finish it up, to kind of get the detail, the granular detail I was looking for, I took some colored pencil and I did colored pencil into, added the kind of the cloudy background in the background, and then to also really get into the tentacles. I went in there and I just spent a bit of time just getting those in there to give them that round feeling and that popping feeling where they really sticking out and separate. And that was pretty much it. I mean, pencil. It started off with just pencil sketching, and then and it's funny. I had to go into the office that I work at, and they have 11 by 17 paper. And so this all started with that piece of 11 17 piece of paper, and I just kind of sketched out where the layout where people were at. And then I talked to Big B, and he's like, "You got to do something different with Animal Man, because he's too stiff and too static." And so we were going back and forth. He was drawing stuff and sending it to me, and then I was drawing stuff, sending it back to him. He goes, "Oh, I like that, but do this differently." And so then I redrew Animal Man on the main page. And then I went and I just started bringing in the color, and I started with the background, and then I just kind of built everything out from there. So
this is fantastic, man. Yeah, I'm like already like wondering, it's like, where am I gonna put this? Because I want to be able to like prominent where I can see it like every day. This is fantastic, man. A lot of people give me grief for being a fan of Animal Man. But they don't really know the character. They're just giving me a hard time for just giving me a hard time. That's what friends do. So a couple of people are like, "Yeah, I'd never draw you, Animal Man." But I've had a few people like Norin Rad. I don't know if you've ever seen him in chats before. He's a fantastic artist as well. He drew a cover for me with Animal Man on it. But this would be my first Stargirl.
That's cool.
And I got both of them.
She was fun to draw. And Animal Man was super fun to draw. I actually started reading about the character and just started thinking and hearing about what his powers were, and I was like, oh, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do then. And that's how the finger tentacles came, and the big giant crab claw. I was like, if he can turn into a different piece of different creatures, then let's just do it and go for it. And so yeah. I actually started off the crab claw incorrectly, and then I went and looked up crab claws so I could get the shape right, how it tapers in, and how the bottom claw is kind of almost a thumb type piece that's separate on its own hinge. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So the top part is not hinged, but the bottom part is where the hinge is, kind of like a jaw. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna fix that. And then I saw how skinny they were, and I was like, oh wow, this is not. I had it more like a crane claw, like on a crane, and I was like, okay, it's not gonna work. That's wrong. So I fixed that, and then it was really fun coming up with how to make the suckers on the squid, the tentacle fingers. So that was a blast. I mean, and then to have them still look like a hand, and then turning into the fingers, into the tentacles it was an interesting mental chore, because I had to envision them as fingers still, and then get them to come out to the tentacles. And then so I actually redrew them like 4 or 5 times with the inks and so the color and the inks and all that. So there's probably about 5 layers of ink on the hands alone. So, but so yeah, I mean, it was a blast. I appreciate the challenge.
I like the gold, like coming up. Is it right here on the staff, and that you can see it's like the shinier gold. You can't really see it on the screen here, but you can definitely see it when you're looking at it, and that I love that. It's definitely what you have to have for the star staff, the cosmic staff. And if you want to learn more about Animal Man, Grant Morrison did a run on Animal Man, but the run that I got into this character from was the run by Jeff Lemire, part of the New 52. It's about 26 issues, and it's a fantastic story. It does take away from like Buddy Baker, which is Animal Man. It takes away from him being the main star to his daughter being the main star. And it gets really, it gets different, but Yarden is fantastic, and it made me fall in love with this character. Jeff Lemire just does greatness. And then Stargirl,
he's fabulous. Yeah, I love Lemire. He's a great writer.
Yeah, so definitely check out the Animal Man run from him. It does cross over with the Swamp Thing run from the New 52 done by Scott Snyder, so definitely check that out as well.
Cool.
Stargirl, Jeff Johns, can't go wrong. I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, so Jeff Johns is like an idol to me for writing. Like I'll read anything Jeff Johns from DC Comics because I think DC Comics, a lot of those characters are like his favorite. So he's going into the studio and writing some of these favorite characters, and then he also created Stargirl, named Stargirl after his sister who died in a plane crash. So
I have to say that my favorite run of Green Lantern was Jeff Johns. I mean, he basically reintroduced the character to me. I'd only had an experience with Green Lantern through Green Arrow, because Kevin Smith wrote Green Arrow back in the early 2000s, and so that storyline is how I got introduced to Green Lantern. And so, I mean, I knew the character, I'd seen the character, Super Friends, and then when I got married, my father-in-law had 37 long boxes of comics, and he had a whole run of that Green Lantern run by Jeff Johns, and so I read that whole thing religiously, and then started buying the series and into the darkest night, brightest day storyline, all that stuff, and it was fabulous. It was really good, and it was like, wow, okay, I get this. I like this character a lot. I love the fact that he has. It's all will, right? For his power, it's whatever he can imagine and his will to bring it about, and that I think is one of the most powerful character ideas around, right? So I think that's amazing.
What else is amazing is this, man. I'm super happy to have this. You did a fantastic job, and guys, I won this from doing a shout out video. So just think about that, guys. You guys could get something like this, not like this, because of course you guys aren't going to want Animal Man and Stargirl, but get your own thing done by Travis or Big B. Is there anybody else that's attached to the comic book shoutouts
with us? No, Brian, Big B and I are the only ones doing the giveaways. So. I think Colossus Collector is going to be adding something to it, but not a drawing. He's going to be. I think he's giving something to it for the. We're going to have a big grand finale giveaway where we're giving giving people away a pile of comics. So anybody we're going to be doing it two of those. One of those is going to be going to. Is going to go to the person who gets the final drawing for giving the shout out, and we're also going to give one to someone who's a viewer and has followed everybody who's been a part of the shout outs. So you have to follow everybody, and you have to like and subscribe everybody's shout out videos. And so we're going to pull from both of those piles to do that. And right now, I've got. I'm as part of it. I'm giving there's 2 graded books that are a part of it. One for each of those, and then a pile of comics.
Oh,
So
nice.
so that's
A lot of
yeah, big giveaway at the end. So although I
That's-
kind of want to keep Big B going and saying, hey, you should keep this going for like a while longer, because I really enjoy doing art. So it makes me want to do more. So although I have about have beyond the 2 shout out drawings I have left to do, which I've started on both of them. The last what I have a couple of pieces I'm going to be doing for some Whatnot friends for their which they're going to post up on their shows, and then there's a possibility of some maybe doing a comic book with someone in the very future. So
that's exciting.
That's exciting. So
that's definitely exciting. Any hints on like what the comic book is going to be about?
Well, I think it's going to be a Whatnot exclusive, so probably like I don't want to take away from his side of this too, because it's with another creator. So it'll probably be like a Whatnot exclusive, but there'll be like small print run covers and things like that of different stuff. You've seen what they do, right? There's the Do You Poo and all those type of things that they do, those which have a story inside. Like I think Do You Poo is the one where they do Deadpool kills basically it's Pooh kills the Pooh universe, but they're all dressed up as Marvel characters, and it's Deadpool killing the Marvel universe. So essentially, this one is going to be unique in a different story. So it's going to be interesting, and I've already started some sketching, and I've been doing some collaboration with the writer. So it's exciting, and would love to announce it, but I want to wait until my friend. His name is Joe, and his Whatnot channel is Buy More. So if you guys are on Whatnot and you want to buy some cool comics, Joe and Don are a great couple. They do wonderful shows, and their prices are not crazy like everybody else's out there, but and all their stuff is beautiful. Like if you're looking for just wanting to get into comics and you want to get a bunch of comics for a really good price, they're the people to go to. So if you don't have a shop near you and you're on Whatnot, if you're not on Whatnot, then you can't go to them.
So get Whatnot.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Careful with Whatnot. If you have a personality where you gamble, I would not get Whatnot. Okay, I'm going to give some PSA here. It is really easy to buy stuff on Whatnot, and it's very dangerous to buy stuff the way how easy it is. So I'll leave it at that. We're all adults. You all can make your own decisions, but but if you're going to buy from them. They're great.
I know a lot of people that use Whatnot. They usually get giveaways. I don't know how they win so many giveaways, but they even got a Wednesday video that drops every Wednesday now for stuff that they won off of Whatnot. So I'm just like, how do you do this? Like, it's not like that in Canada. So
well, I'll tell you, man, I've won a ton of giveaways on Whatnot. I kid you not. But then on the other side of it, I've also spent a lot of money on Whatnot as well. So, and I made some money on Whatnot as well. So I've done.
I know a lot of people that sell stuff on Whatnot, and I usually buy stuff. I'm usually keeping it. I'm not willing to part with it. If it's keys that I've recently picked up and stuff, they're keys that I want for a reason. So I'm like, of course, like my first appearance of Stargirl, I'm not getting rid of. First appearance of Doomsday, not getting rid of that. So, right. But man, thank you so much for this. This is fantastic. We need to, me and Roscoe need to get you on Between the Lines. We are booked until the new year, so it'd be 2024 until we get you on. But we could probably get you on. I don't want to book it yet because that's January. January is a while away.
Right.
So
That's
we'll
totally, and
probably
that's
have you.
totally fine. So
Yeah, we'll probably have you in on January. Um, Definitely going to be posting this on IG, so keep a lookout for that, guys. And like I said, Travis Comics Limited Instagram, YouTube is down below, as well as Big B McFlies. Also, I said this at the beginning of the video. If you guys want to help out Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart, the link to her GoFundMe is also down below. So definitely go check that out. Travis, man, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for sending this. I'm glad to got to know you a little bit. Not just did a whole unboxing, but did a kind of Q&A type of thing.
yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Do you have anything you want to end on?
Well, be good to each other. Read comics. Share your love with comics with everyone, because you never know who you're going to meet who might have exactly what you're looking for. Sometimes it's just that companionship, friendship that you need, and sometimes it's, they might have a book they're trying to get rid of that you've been looking for forever and you can't find it. Always just be good to one another and care about each other. It's the best way to go about life. And thank you so much again for this. I mean, this community is so great. Help Jen. Everybody go to Help Jen. Go do whatever you can help out with in any way you can. If that means just sharing, share. If it means going to the comics curing cancer and doing that stuff, do that too. If it's doing something local within your own community, do that. Definitely be a part of whatever community you're a part of in your area too. It's always good to help people, because when you help people, it's helping yourself.
I totally agree. Thank you so much. And that being said, Comics Curing Cancer tomorrow, starting over at Legion of Comics channel. Like I said, I'll be sharing all of them on my community page on YouTube, and that so everybody can follow along that needs to, and catch out all of the great shows that are happening. And that being said, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Go watch Gen V, go watch Loki, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Comics Curing Cancer. Thank you so much, Travis, for joining me, and thank you guys so much for watching this on the live, and everybody that's watching this on the rewind. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel and hit that like button, because it does help with the channel. That being said, guys, hopefully you guys have a fantastic night, and as always, my friends, stay freaking nerdy.